Hi everybody, hopefully a simplified rendition of what I started. Start with a 7 by 15 inch piece. And if you put actually 3 of these together out of a piece of yardage, the width you can get 6. So 2, 4, 6. Sometimes they're a scant 7 inches, but it still works. So this is starting at piece 1. I'm going to give you production, and you can cut it down to 1 if you want. I press up the ends about 3/8 of an inch. Doesn't have to be perfect. To press up both ends. Fold it in half and, oh, ties. 18-inch ties. What I've done is take, for 6 masts, it takes 10 inches. So these are an inch wide, and they're 18 inches long. It takes 10 strips of fabric in order to do 6 masks. So I stitch all the pieces end to end, and I miter them. I fold it, press it, serge the whole thing at one time, and then it makes almost perfect 18-inch strips. I was using freight check on the ends. I think I'm going to knot them now. I think that'll be just hold up better because it's really hard. You go through a lot of freight check, and I'm not sure it's going to hold up over washings. So when you put them together, let's go back to this one. I start with the right side up. You put this in. You fold it down. Sorry, I'm working with one hand. And you overlap this just a touch with this top one on top of here. So it overlaps just a touch. Make sure you put your tie in. Sorry, put your tie in. Fold it down. Again, whatever. Doesn't make any difference. About a 1/2 inch. And then overlap this just a touch and stitch down. Put another tie in. Put it in the bottom and finish stitching down. And I do one, put in, stitch down a ways, insert another, and then clear down to the end, and then finish stitching. So when I'm doing production, I do one of these, I go on to another, so I do all 6. And then I come back, and if you can serge this, I'm going back and forth between serging and sewing. Serging always leaves those silly tails, and I'm not sure it knots well, so I'm going back to sewing it, but whatever. So then with the serger, obviously you'd have to flip this over. Now here, let's go to this one. You'd have to flip it over in order to serge this side, because otherwise you're going to cut the wrong thing off. With sewing, I would just sew, put the fabric on this side of the machine, start here, put my ribbon in, or put my tie in, overlap it again on top, the bottom over the top, stitch down, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. So what you have is 6 of these all in a row with little tiny bits of thread between each one. So this is what you have when you get both sides sewn. Turn that inside out, and it comes out real easy because you just pull the ties and they come out, and it will look like this. I start pressing it from the back side so I can make sure my little pocket, so that what this has done is overlapped here, and it makes a real nice pocket, and it keeps it overlapped. That was one step I saved. So I press it like this first to make sure my little pocket's there, and to make sure my seams are out. I turn it over. I just use my table. Again, when you're doing these for other people, it's about time. I start this at about the 1/2 inch mark on my table. I put my finger here and I fold it down about a 1/2 inch. I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe it's a little less. I stick a pin in it. And I just, again, take a guess. Pin it. Take a guess. They're not too bad. I always kind of look at the evenness here and the evenness here. And then I just kind of hold the right side. Make the tucks. They kind of make naturally because you've already made them over here. Steam it good. And I take a piece of wood. This was specially made, one of its purposes. After you've steamed it, press it down. It gives a real nice pressed thing. So now I'm ready to stitch. You don't have to worry about it unfolding or being crazy. So when I stitch, it's always easier for me to stitch with the folds. So I start up here, stitch down, and I go over the ties twice just to make sure they're pretty stable. If I serge these ends, and I may go over a little bit more. If I stitched it, I probably just go over once or twice. And so stitch down here, you take your next one, start right here, stitch down, and you do all 6. You cut your thread, you come up back up to the first one, you start here, so your fabric is now on the inside of your machine. Start here, that way you're going with the plates. Again, right down here, and sew all 6 together. So when you're done, you have 6 that they kind of look like that all together. So it's real easy to cut a teeny tiny bit of string or thread, excuse me. You're not, I really haven't trimmed anything other than that. I don't trim it that close. And you have, I think, a pretty nice looking little pocket that should hold up well, and a pretty nice looking little mask. And 6 of them done. I just did 6 of them to see what I could do from just having it cut, nothing else, to finish. And I did 6 in 45 minutes. That includes the pressing of the top edges. That includes putting all of the strips together, the 10 strips together, mitering the edges, pressing it, and so on. So happy sewing. If you have any questions, anybody's welcome to contact me. Thanks so much.